Hello there, and welcome to this overview video of the Enterprise Management System, or EMS. The EMS sits at the heart of Team Rubicon's overall technology architecture and houses the vast majority of our event information, operational information, and volunteer information such as skills, transcripts, and qualifications. It has the ability to integrate with a large number of third-party applications and websites. We have the ability to output a lot of our data to Power BI and Qlik so that we can help get additional insight in all the activities that our 130,000 gray shirts are out there doing. And it has given us a stable platform to build on as we look to do field services, client services, help desk, and lots of other initiatives in the EMS in the near future. The three main components that make up the EMS are the Dynamics 365 portal, otherwise known as Roll Call, the Dynamics 365 Customer Relationship Manager, or CRM, and the Cornerstone OnDemand Learning Management System. And we'll take a look at all three of these now. The Dynamics web portal, or Roll Call, is available at rollcall.teamrubiconusa.org. Once there, you'll notice that we have the middle of the screen with current events and important items that we want to highlight for our volunteers. We have pointers to the local points of contact for the gray shirt in case they have any questions, starting from the metro level all the way up to the territory level. And we have a grouping of specific resource links that we like to keep handy so that people can get to their events and training opportunities. In the upper left is the View Transcript button and Edit Profile button, which we'll talk about now. The Roll Call profile page is where people can update things like their home address, any contact information, as well as any skills, experiences, and languages that they know which might be helpful on an operation. There's also a number of things that are required if you want to actually deploy to an operation, such as an emergency contact, their phone number, your date of birth, and your full legal name so that we can buy you an airline ticket. Unfortunately, the one thing that you can't change for yourself is your email address. If you want to change that, you'll have to open a help desk ticket with us so that we can change it for you. This is because it's used across multiple systems to tie all the different interrelated systems together for that person. Also on the screen is additional information to get deployable for people that aren't already, as well as to be able to set their availability for future operations, and some links to their events and transcripts so they can keep tabs on those as well. Across the top of the page, we have an additional navigational menu that'll take people to helpful links such as the calendar. The event calendar allows gray shirts to see upcoming events and operations nationwide. There are four main things to point out. One is the set of filters that people can use in order to whittle down to the things that they care about. Second is the calendar tool that allows you to pick a specific date and see if there's something there. The third is the map, which allows you to zoom in and see events in a specific area. And the fourth is the list of events that match the filter criteria, where you can then go in and click to register. Another primary component of the EMS is the Cornerstone OnDemand Learning Management System, which you can get to from the top navigational bar in Roll Call or from any of the links that say transcripts. Cornerstone is home to dozens of courses that have been developed by Team Rubicon to help our gray shirts operate safely and effectively in the field. The main page will have a number of options that you can take, or there's a search bar in the middle that you can search for anything that you're interested in and then launch the subsequent training. To get back to Roll Call from Cornerstone, just hover over Training Center and then hit Return to Profile. Also available in the upper Roll Call navigational menu is access to My Events, which is your event registrations for any former or future event that you were a member of. It starts off with all registrations, but you can also hit the drop down in the upper right hand corner to change it to things like just the ones you attended or operational events, things of that nature. If you have more than one page, you can use the page forward and back to navigate. The Dynamics 365 CRM is located at ems.teamrubiconusa.org. The main Dynamics window has a number of components and can seem daunting at first, but patience and practice are the key, and mastering this tool can make a huge difference in your overall experience as a volunteer leader or as an employee. Let's take a tour of the screen. Starting at the top, we have the App Chooser menu, which most people are going to want to ensure is set to EMS. In the upper right is the Global Search button, as well as the Advanced Find button, and more information on those later. The rest of those buttons are not actually used often. Just below those is the Command bar, which will show you the current tools and options available to you depending on what kind of records you're currently looking at. Below that is the View selector, which we'll talk a lot more about later in the video. On the left-hand side is the main navigational menu. The Recent drop-down will show you the last 10 records you've looked at, and it's helpful to be able to quickly return to those if you've had to go somewhere else in the system and need to go back. The Pinned drop-down will show you any records or pages that you've pinned for easy access. So this is the same thing as your bookmarks or favorites in your browser. Below that is the collection of most common links that our users use the most. These are broken into different sections of related entities. We'll look at a few of these shortly. In the very bottom left is the Work Area selector, but most people should find that they have everything they need in the default, which is already set to Volunteer Management. And last but not least, the very middle of the screen is set aside to show you whatever dashboard, chart, view, or record that you've decided to open. In this case, it's a simple dashboard showing all the new signups as gray shirts from today, or the last week, the last 30 days, the last 120 days, etc. Let's take a look at some of these things in more detail, starting with the Global Search option. When searching, put in whatever the term is that you're looking for, and if you choose to, you can also constrain it to just the entity that you care about as well. When you're ready, go ahead and hit the search button. It's going to take a look at all the different entities that we've authorized for search, like contacts, projects, users, events, and bring back anything that matches what you've placed in the search bar. It's important to note when using Global Search that sometimes you have to know exactly how the record is named in order to find it. And one way around this is the use of something called a wildcard. And a wildcard simply replaces part of the name with whatever you don't happen to know. So for example, if I know that there's an event that has the term South Seattle in it, but I only search for South Seattle, in this case it's not going to match anything because the record doesn't start with the words South Seattle. But instead, if I use a wildcard, which for this system is the asterisk button, then I can search for asterisk South Seattle and it correctly finds the event that I care about. So in this case, I don't have to know about the KTK-NWET- because the wildcard takes care of that for me. One of the main features of Dynamic CRM is the ability to create views and charts and combine them to form dashboards. And dashboards allow for some easy visualizations of the data that's behind the scenes in the records without having to drill down into each individual record. Now these are not as powerful as something like Power BI or Click, but for most people these will get the job done. One of the most commonly used entities in the system is the event entity. And when clicking in, you're met with the All Events Not Completed view. And let's take a moment to talk about views. A view is simply a collection of different columns of information that you care about, as well as some filtering behind the scenes to bring back the specific rows of the database that you care about. In the system, there are system views, which everyone has, and then you also have the ability to create your own views or see the ones that other people have shared with you as well. And those are called personal views, which show up under the My Views as you scroll back and forth in the list. Now I happen to have a whole bunch of them, but most people will start off with just minimal system views and then grow from there. Sometimes the views you end up using have a large number of records, so you can use this search button to whittle it down to just the event that you care about. So in the same way that we did with the global search, we can also use the entity search with wildcards so that we don't have to know the full name of the event in this case. There's a huge amount of information that goes into each event, but Dynamics allows us to break it up by different tabs. Most of the information is going to be in the general tab, such as the address, the date and time, the event description, who the owner is, how many people can show up, all the emails that go back and forth as a result of the planning process, and things of that nature. We also have different tabs for communications, concerns, logistical items, finance, technology. There's also a training tab in certain cases. The tabs will look a little bit different depending on whether this is a non-operational event or an operational event, such as this one. You can also see who is registered and a whole lot more information. There's over 500 plus fields that are in the event entity, so it can be overwhelming at first, but I encourage you to go in and take a look at a few just to get an idea of what's in there. One of the features of the dynamic CRM is the ability to use something called breadcrumbs to be able to go back to where you just were, rather than using the back button in the browser. So in the upper nav bar, you'll see breadcrumbs that can sometimes go 1 or 2 levels back. And when you're looking at a view, in this case, since there are so many records, you do have some options to be able to rearrange the view and then be able to save it again later. So in this case, we can do some sorting. So each column has the ability to sort either by A to Z or 1 through 0, etc. We also have the ability to do column level filtering. So in this case, we'll look for the territory to be northwest, and it'll take us from 1,433 records down to just the 155 that still match the criteria. If we want to take it a step further, we can filter by something else. In this case, we'll look at member engagement, events, and now we're down to 34. So this whole thing now we can save. Since we've made some changes, we can save it as a new personal view. To do that, you'd click on Create View, Save View, and then give it a name of whatever you want it to be. And this will end up being saved in your personal view area whenever you are looking at your list of views in the View dropdown. So now at this point, we've created something called Northwest Member Engagement. We're the only ones that's going to be able to see that. And if we go to anywhere else in the system and then come back to Northwest Member Engagement, the beautiful thing is that all of our filter changes and sorting changes that we just made will be saved for as long as we want them. Another major entity that we use all the time is the contact entity. And this is quite simply a list of all the people that Team Rubicon interacts with. So this is our volunteer base, it is our volunteer leaders, our employees, it could be emergency managers, public works, people, city administrators, police, fire, and medical that we're interacting with on an operation. Pretty much anybody that we come across could be added as a contact in our system. Now I'll go into my contact record to serve as an example. So using global search, we'll put in my name and go ahead and click the result. And here we see we've got a large number of fields, again broken down by different tabs. So in the summary tab, we've got my name, we've got things like the location, any emails that I've received. We've got a large number of contact types so that we can use those in views to be able to distinguish between different types of contacts. There's also an event and training tab which has all the different events that I've been to. It also has the ability to search in all these subgrids. So in the same way that we use wildcards everywhere else that we're searching, we can also use them here as well to be able to quickly whittle down to specific courses that you might be interested in. I have the list of qualifications, everything that I've been qualified to do over the years, as well as my online transcript as well, anything that I've taken through Cornerstone OnDemand. The next tab over is external documents. So these are things like ICS courses, and in the future it could be any type of international pipeline documentation and things of that nature. The deployment tab shows all the different operations that I've been on, as well as what role I was. The leader profile tab is whatever my current volunteer leader or employee position is, as well as a look at the history of any positions that I've had in the past down below as well. So again, there's a lot of information being stored in the contact entity. I recommend that you take a look at your contact record and just get an idea of what information you have in your roll call profile and how it relates to the information in your contact record. The last entity we'll take a look at is our project entity, which houses all the operations that Team Rubicon has done, all the way from the most recent on top, all the way back to the very first one in Haiti in 2010. When clicking into a project record, again, there's a ton of information, but it is broken down by individual tabs. The summary tab is going to have the location, the operational details, start date, end date, ICS typing, and things of that nature. The situation overview is probably the information that most people are interested in, and you can take a look at the whole thing by simply hovering over it. There's also some mission planning tabs, so ISR, Warno, and Opward. There's also Recon and Advon behind the scenes if needed. This houses all the mission planning information, which is what we need in order to actually launch the operation. TR Sites is where we record all of our FOBs, billets, and rally points. And then the resource requirements and a couple other tabs are used for the actual mobilizations in order to get boots on the ground. The Up Event tab is a shortcut to the actual events that are created as part of the process. The Registration tab has all the people that have signed up for it. The Deployment tab has all the people that have been accepted and booked against the operation. You can see their status and the dates that they'll be there as well. Strike teams and strike team alignment have to do with personnel accountability and keeping track of who did what work on what day and things of that nature. And of course, there's a lot of other information here in the record. And once again, I invite you to take a look around, open some of the projects, and just look to see what's in there for yourself. So thank you for taking the time to watch this overview video. If you have any questions, comments, or complaints, please check in with us in the National Tech Team and we'll be happy to help you out. Thank you.